All right. Good evening, everyone. I hope everybody is doing fine. I would want to welcome you all to yet another very interesting session of Big Bull Ki Pathshala. So we have been doing these sessions for a couple of days now, a couple of weeks for that matter, and every week I try to bring to you some topic that is new for you, something that might be relevant to you, seeing the time and the condition and what is pertaining in the examination world. So we are almost towards the end of April. It is 28th April now. We'll be entering May. And with May, the entrance of May, we have so many exams aligned, whether it is IPMAT, whether it is GIPMAT, whether it is CUET, whether it is NPAT, all of these exams are aligned, awaiting your arrival and for you to show your preparations. It is the time for your hard work to pay off. So our today's session, as the name suggests, is about a very special guest who made it to IIM Ranchi, who qualified his IPMAT Indore exam. But before I invite him over and before we go ahead with the interesting discussion about his journey from IPMAT Indore to IIM Ranchi, and also about his strategy, his tips and tricks as to what took him to qualify this exam. Before we start talking about that, I would want to give you certain reminders. So like I said earlier, that a couple of exams await us in the month of May and June, and this is a very, very crucial period for all of you people who have been preparing and working really hard since the last year, the last 1.5 years. This is the time where you show your true potential, your true hard work to pay off. So to begin with, first reminder that you should have is that the GIPMAT notifications or the GIPMAT registrations will be closing on 30th of April. That means this Sunday would be the last day for you to register for the GIPMAT 2023 exams. So as you already know, GIPMAT stands for Joint Integrated Program in Management Admission Test, is a gateway to get admissions into IIM Bodh Gaya and IIM Jammu. That's the common entrance test for it, conducted by NTA, that is National Testing Agency. So the last day for you to register for that exam is going to be 30th of April. Okay, the registrations for IPMAT Indore, IPMAT Rohtak, and CUET are already closed. So have it closed for SET, that is for Symbiosis, and NPAT, that is for Narsi Munshi Institute of Management Studies. So these are some of the major management exams that students look forward to get admissions into their desired B schools or the business schools. Now, talking about the exam date, so the first exam that will be coming our way will be IPMAT Rohtak exam, which is set to take place on 20th of May. Following it will be the GIPMAT exam, which is scheduled to take place on 28th of May. And then we have IPMAT Indore exam on 16th of June. In the May itself, towards the end of the May, we are also going to have the CUET exam, that is Common University Entrance Test. We've already done a couple of sessions on CUET about its importance and about why you should appear for this exam. And it is going to take place in multiple slots, as we already know. So the CUET exam will be taking place in a duration of 10 days, starting from 21st of May till 31st of May. Each day, there are going to be 3 slots in there, right? So it is, again, a very crucial exam. 200 plus universities are going to consider the CUET performance or the CUET results for the admissions to their various undergraduate courses. Some of these universities are universities like Delhi University, Indraprasth University, Christ University, and a couple of other, and of course, all central universities. And a couple of other private universities as well, that includes MIT University, Chitkara University, and so on. However, it has been notified that the CUET exam might get postponed to first week of June, but we as yet do not have any official notification about it. So we'll stay mum until and unless we hear about it on Samarth. Until then, these are just rumors as of now. Okay, so that was about the various exams that you should be paying attention to. Talking about the SET exam, which is conducted for admissions into the Symbiosis and the various 4 campuses. The exam date for SET is going to be 6th of May and 14th of May. So May and June indeed is a very crucial months for all the undergraduate aspirants out there, right? So make sure that you're working hard, make sure that you are appearing for mocks in the last 30 minutes, 30 days of your upcoming exams, and hope you give your best for these exams. In case you have any questions, any queries about the various tests that I have just discussed about, or you want to ask something about it, please feel free to post it in the comment section, and me and our guest tonight will be more than happy to help you out with it. Okay, enough with the gyan. Now let me take the opportunity to invite over the guest for the evening, Mr. Sahil Solanki, who made it to IIM Ranchi by qualifying the IPMAT Indore exam. Hi Sahil, welcome to the show.
Hello, hi.
How are you doing?
I'm doing great. How are you doing?
I'm doing good as well. So, how does it feel to be here?
It's really good. It's like a flashback. I used to watch these kind of videos 2 years back. So yeah, hopefully aspirants will get good insights.
Right, that is the whole agenda of our today's session. To, I mean, this is the time where they would need the motivation the most, right? Because they're just about a month away from some of the major exams, like I just discussed. So, of course, they would be looking forward to hear to your amazing thoughts, and you are the guru to them as of now. So, your words are golden for them. So, let's start with a little bit of personal information about you. So please tell our audience, where are you from?
Oh, okay. So I hail from Patna, Bihar. I did my schooling there.
Okay, and tell us a little bit about your family background.
So my father is a businessman. He has a distributorship of several companies. So I have been uh, meeting a lot of ASMs and all those people from my childhood of various companies like PepsiCo, Ferrero, and all. So yeah,
Okay.
that's about my family.
Mm-hmm.
I have
Mm-hmm.
a sibling too, a younger brother, and
Mm-hmm.
my mom is a housewife.
Okay, okay. So what is your younger brother doing nowadays?
He's in class 5, so nothing
Oh,
much. He's that small. So he's currently schooling, going to school.
okay, that's a huge gap between you and your sibling, right?
Yeah.
Okay, right. So where is your schooling from? Where did you study from?
I did my 10th from Patna itself. There was a
Mm-hmm.
CBSE school, a St. Karen's High School. Did my 10th
Mm-hmm.
from that school, and I did my 11th and 12th from DPS Bokaro. So
Okay.
it's nearby, only nearby Ranchi. So yeah, I did my 12th.
Okay. All right. And what was your stream in the 12th class?
I had physics, chemistry, maths with English, HBM, and information practices.
Okay. So that's very different. You had sciences, right? The various subjects from science in your 12th standard, and then you chose to do management. Why this switch? Any specific reasons?
So my initial plan was not to do management, and I
Mm-hmm.
came to know about IPMAT after the IPMAT exams were over, like in 2020, in year 2020. So I
Mm-hmm.
was preparing for NDA, National Defense Academy. I did
Okay.
clear the written part, but wasn't able to clear the SSB part. So
Okay.
I was enrolled in also a very prestigious institute, Presidency Kolkata.
Mm-hmm.
I got enrolled in BSc Economics course, but somewhere I was thinking that no, economics is not my cup of tea. I need to do something else. So I was just looking up to another career options. So I got to know about IPM. I
Mm-hmm.
did a bit of research and I found that yeah, there are mainly 2 to 3 colleges which are offering. One of them were the best, obviously IIM Indore. And suddenly after a few months, IIM Jammu, Bodh Gaya and Ranchi also announced management, like
Mm-hmm.
IPM courses.
Mm-hmm.
So I thought, okay, this is the right time to pursue this. Maybe,
Right.
anyways, after BSc, I'll have to do MBA, appear in
Mm-hmm.
CAT, and do the same thing. So why not right now? So
Mm-hmm.
yeah, I got to know about IPM at that point of time.
Okay, and what was your goal in your 12th class? When were you in your 12th standard? So did you like, of course you appeared for ND and you were planning to go ahead with that. So how is management turning out for you to be, to be pursuing management? How is that working out for you?
And that is it's really good. So it's just like science. I took science because I wanted to do MBA. I never had that keen interest in physics,
Mm-hmm.
chemistry, and maths.
Mm-hmm.
But because it was a necessity requirement for MBA, so I took it. Uh, Management is different. Like
Mm-hmm.
what I really wanted to do, I'm doing all those things here, like studying philosophy, psychology, accounts, natural sciences, which includes biology, physics. So studying approx 40 different courses. So that is creating a lot more perspective towards a problem. Earlier, I used to see a problem only from one perspective. That was my schooling,
Right,
PC and PC. But right now, I have developed a lot of perspective. So
right.
yeah, it turns out to be good. Let's see what is in the future with this.
Right, right. So I feel the duration in which a student in his 12th class appears for his board exams, and then, of course, the duration that he has to prepare for these entrance tests, they kind of tend to collide in between, right? Because both of these exams are just a couple of weeks away from each other. So my question to you, which I think would also be a very common question among the other aspirants who, let's say, are planning for 23 or for that matter, even for 24. So, how did you strike a balance between your preparation for the board exams and your preparation for the various entrances that you appeared for?
Okay. So as I told, I was a dropper, so I did not got a chance to appear for both and for IPMAT together. But I have mentored a lot of people, and I've seen people working on both. Very like IPMAT is not something which needs a lot of hours.
Mm-hmm.
You don't need to put 10 to 14 hours a day at the time when you are preparing for boards too.
Mm-hmm.
So it's just about balancing out, and that is what management is, right?
Mm-hmm.
When you will come to the college, you'll have to deal with 10 different things at the same time, and here are only two. So dividing days into slots is a very important thing. That is what I got from a lot of aspirants and a
Right,
lot of peers in my college, that
right.
if you divide your days into slots, like 4 hours for coaching, 4 hours for board studies, and then 2 hours for IPMAT, that is enough. So till the time when your boards get over, you're done with a lot of syllabus. And after that, you get approx 1.5 months to 2 months to prepare for IPMAT. So that is enough time, even if you start from scratch. But because you have managed time well and you
Mm-hmm.
have been preparing for IPMAT since last 6 to 7 months, you have a good hold of IPMAT,
Mm-hmm.
right? So when all the students are starting from the scratch, you already have an idea what to
Mm-hmm.
do. So yeah, mainly dividing days into slots and a lot of more things which cannot be covered right now in one session.
Right. So I have a question. You mentioned that you are a dropout from your 12th class, right? So you did not appear for boards technically. So how are you eligible to get admission into the IPMAT? Because the minimum eligibility is 12 standard, right?
No, I was a dropper. So gave my 12th in 2020 and appeared
Okay, so it was
for
a gap year.
IPMAT. It was
Got
a
it.
gap year, yes.
Oh,
So
okay, that makes
that
sense.
was a drop year. Here we
Oh.
usually use the word drop. So I appeared in 2021
Yeah,
for
because
IPMAT.
I heard you saying I'm a dropper. So I was like, 12th is the minimum qualification that is required to get admission. Okay, that's cool. That's great. Why the drop year, by the way?
Again, as I told you, I was unable to clear NDA, and I
NDA, okay, okay.
never
Mm-hmm.
had that passion for engineering. So
Mm-hmm.
I waited, and I was looking up for another option. So
Okay.
I got IT.
Got it, got it. Okay, so for the people out there who do not still know about the IPMAT exam or for IPM, let me give you a quick revision about the same. However, we do have conducted the sessions on IPM a couple of times before, but I would still want to repeat it once again, just in case you're somebody who is new to the session, who has not really heard about IPM before. So IPM stands for Integrated Program in Management. So as the name suggests, it is a 5-year course. That means it is your BA plus MBA degree that you get. There are 5 IIMs that do offer you this particular course. That includes IIM Indore, IIM Ranchi, IIM Bodh Gaya, IIM Rohtak, and IIM Jammu. So all other IIMs, we have 20 IIMs in our country. So apart from these 5 IIMs, no other IIM do offer you an undergraduate program. All of them do offer you the MBA program. For that, you have to qualify for the exam called CAT. So why this particular course, IPM, is so prestigious is because there are a couple of reasons, right? So the first reason for it is it gives you the tag of studying from an IIM kind of exposure that I feel is very, very important from an entrepreneur or a managerial point of view, if you're somebody who's planning to go ahead with management as a career. So it gives you that kind of an exposure. It is an in-campus course. That means you'll be staying in the campus itself. You're not supposed to reside outside. So the kind of exposure, the kind of faculty, the kind of peers, the kind of internships, the kind of course, placements that you'll be getting are extraordinary. Apart from that, why IPMAT or the IPM course is so amazing is because it is stream neutral. So it does not really matter whether you come from a science background or a commerce background or a humanities background. As long as you've qualified for your 12th class, you can appear for the IPMAT exam. So there are 3 entrances that you can appear for to get admissions into the IPM program. The first is IPMAT Indore, which is conducted by IIM Indore. The second is IPMAT Rohtak, which is conducted by IIM Rohtak. And then we have JIPMAT, that is Joint Integrated Program in Management Admission Test, which is conducted by NTA, that is National Testing Agency. And through JIPMAT, you get admissions into IIM Jammu and IIM Bodh Gaya. So that is why this particular course is so credible. It adds weightage to your resume. And more important than that, you get to do your graduation from such an esteemed institute in our country, one of the best B schools that you can get in the country. So that's why it's very, very prestigious. Now let's talk about the levels. So of course, you have to qualify for the IPMAT, the aptitude exam first. Then you're going to have a PI round, that is the personal interview round. Bases your performance in the aptitude test as well as in your PI round, your selection is decided whether you're shortlisted or not. Talking about the syllabus, so all of the syllabus for IPMAT, Rohtak, and JIPMAT is pretty similar. You have 3 sections. You have logical reasoning, you have English, and you have mathematics or quant. In the case of Indore, IIM Indore or IPMAT Indore, you do not have a session for logical reasoning. You have 2 sections for math, that is quantitative ability, and 1 section for verbal ability or English, right? So the 2 sections that you have for quant, one is subjective and the other one is objective. So now, Sahil, I would want to talk to you regarding your exam prep, because I think that is something that a lot of students would be looking forward to hearing from you, since you are on the other side of the table as we speak, right? So what was your basic strategy for preparing for the IPMAT exam?
Okay, about the basic strategy. See, it depends from person to person. Basically, I was from a maths background, so I had a good grab over maths. So for the part of IPMAT Indore, where higher maths is tested, about 40% of the paper is higher maths. For that, I used to do my JEE modules and my Arihan textbook and BitSat textbook, all those stuff. But for the people who are from non-maths background, they may go for Arun Sharma or R.S. Agarwal. Those are basic book or any coaching institute booklet which you are uh, practicing. For the lower maths part, I never liked arithmetic, neither in my 8th, 9th, and neither during the preparation. Still, I had to do it. So I used to do it from a YouTube channel, and I used to practice book again from R.S. Agarwal and Arun Sharma. So that was for quantitative ability. I saw some of my friends doing NCRT, but that is only for the people who are starting in the month of December or before that, because you have a lot of time in your hand at that point of time, but you cannot afford to spend time on NCRT when you are preparing in last few months. For verbal ability, there are mainly 6 to 7 parts in a paper. That is RC, parajumbles, paracompletion, grammar, rules, incorrect, sentences, idioms and phrases, vocabulary. So for vocabulary, everyone knows that word par medis is the Bible of the vocabulary. So I used to do that. And some daily rituals like newspaper, articles, RCs. Uh, Nothing serious, nothing very different. But yeah, learning the grammar rules and then practicing question was something which was very useful. So I just mugged up all the grammar rules in few days, like 7 to 8 days, and then I went for the for practicing questions from again my coaching institute's booklet and Arun Sharma. So that helped me a lot. So this was my basic strategy, and yeah, this is just 50% of what you can do. Next 50% is mock test. So I appeared for a lot of mock tests in last month. I gave approx 20 to 30 marks. That was where I actually prepared for IPMAT, because getting knowledge, getting practicing questions, those are all good, because see, you're not appearing for boards where you need to solve all the questions and get 100%. This is a competitive exam. Even if you do 10 questions correctly, 10 easy questions, you are done. You have the seat for you, because a lot of students don't even know which question to select. So get rejecting questions is very important. So my faculty used to say, my mentor used to say that IPMAT is not about solving question, it's about rejecting questions. So maybe you will be tempted with permutation and combination because you did it really well, but examiners set up those questions with a mind that no, I have to fail certain students with this question. So don't be too much uh, into one chapter, be open minded, see all the questions, read all the questions, and then see what is the best one for you, what is the most easy question in that pool of questions. And approx out of 15, you'll get approx 6 to 7 questions. Those are very, very easy, and that will easily get you into IIM now. So yeah, that was my basic strategy. So preparation, practice, and mocks.
Okay, right. So one of the very common queries, Sahil, that I get from the students is, of course, we know that for IPMAT, or for that matter, even for GPMAT, you get higher math. That means that
Hmm.
includes your math from your 11th and 12th class. So the query that usually students have is that, ma'am, I did not have math in 11th and 12th class. So can I prepare for GPMAT or IPMAT, or will it be difficult for me? So what would be your answer to such people, such students?
See, it's all in their head. So
Mm-hmm.
if you want to go to IIM, it should be a motivation, right? It's
Mm-hmm.
not that difficult. It's just like what you did in your class 9, 10, 10. It's the
Mm-hmm.
same maths, just a different topic. So you go
Mm-hmm.
through the videos. I hope you're taking any coaching institute. If not, there are plenty of videos available on YouTube. Just
Mm-hmm.
go and study them and practice question. It is that easy. What all subjects are there? What all chapters are there in higher maths? Function, set theory, APGP special series, matrices and determinants, and chapters like those. So those chapters are really, really easy. So you're not even doing 20% of what a JE student does. So that is very easy. Just go for lectures and question practice. So it's very easy. It's a cakewalk if you do it correctly and if you solve mocks. So nothing much in that. Yes, if you want to get a good base and you're like, again, you're preparing for IPMAT 2024, start it from now. Now onwards, go for NCRT, practice those questions, because those questions are easy and it will build your base. And after that, you can go for advanced question of your coaching institute. So
Mm-hmm.
yeah, not a big task.
And also, I feel for the quant, because you have negative marking in the IPMAT exams, right? So, like you already mentioned, the set selection part is very, very important. The questions that you choose to do and the questions that you choose to skip. At the same time, because you have timing, the exam is time centric. So, time management plays again a very important role. For that matter, like till 12th standard, we have that mode of doing lengthy calculations, right? Because we are allowed to do that. But because this is a time-centric exam, so of course they need to go ahead and learn the tricks also. I feel the shortcuts also that includes square roots, cube roots, tables, and everything, right? I think that is also quite essential for the quant preparation if we specifically talk about,
Yeah,
right?
yeah, that is really important. Like every question you save 2 seconds, you have 30 questions, 1 minute, you'll get extra for one question.
Right.
That one question will give you a boost of maybe 30 to 40 rank. So 2 seconds each calculation, you are going 20, 30 ranks above.
Right. All right, so the questions are starting to come. So I'm waiting for a couple of questions to come in, then I'll ask you. So now what I would want to ask Sahil is what were those topics from the quant section that you like highly disliked, which were like, because you said that you were not a great fan of math in the very first place. So what were those few topics that you were absolutely disgusted with, that you like just did not actually like? And what were those topics that were a cakewalk for you, that was really easy for you in the quant section?
I would say again, arithmetic. I just hate
Look
arithmetic.
at your
Even if
expression.
I, I think I have started preparing for CAT, and again the same cycle has begun. So the arithmetic part is again
Uh-huh.
like alien to me.
Okay.
Percentage, profit loss, simple interest compounding. This I don't find a good logic behind those chapters. I like algebra and higher maths. I
Right.
love those chapters,
Right.
but arithmetic is not my cup of tea. So
Right.
yeah, those were
Okay.
some
And
topics.
easier ones, the easier topics.
The easier ones: algebra, quadratic equation,
Mm-hmm.
logarithm, linear inequation, equation.
Mm-hmm.
Uh, More chapters like APGP, special series,
Mm-hmm.
permutation, combination, probability. So all
Mm-hmm.
these chapters were easy for me.
Okay. Now, if I talk about the verbal section, so I feel the verbal part or English is like a आलू in the examination world. हर एक एग्जाम में आता है इंग्लिश, कोई भी आप एग्जाम दे दो उसमें इंग्लिश होता ही होता है. And what a common suggestion that students get about English is पढ़ो, read करो, जितना read करोगे उतना अच्छा होगा. So do you actually feel that reading content, whether fictional or non-fictional, has any impact on your preparation for the verbal ability part?
Yes, ma'am. Like reading is the only thing which can improve your English. See,
Hmm.
if you mug up 100 words, 1,000 words, 2,000 words, and if you don't know how to use it, if you don't know what is the use of those words, there is no point of mugging it up, right? So if you read a lot and parallelly you are learning words,
Mhm.
you are implementing those words and you are revising those words and you are
Mhm.
knowing the use of those words. So
Mhm.
in general, it's improving your vocabulary too. It's improving your comprehending skills, right? So comprehending skills are really important. It will come with reading naturally.
Mhm.
So reading is the most important part in verbal ability. Uh, Again, if you read sentences, you frame sentences in your mind. So while you're speaking, you have those sentences in your mind. You can easily put words together and speak. Not only that, if you are reading sentence, your subconscious mind is getting used to write sentences. So when
Mhm.
you see a wrong sentence, which is again in the question of IPMAT, like 6 questions are there from incorrect sentences, you're again tackling those sentences. So if you read, everything is getting covered
Right.
precisely. So reading is very, very important. Read anything you love. So I know a lot of people. I was not a good reader. I
Mhm.
never read a book, a novel. So when I started my prep, I was suggested from a lot of people that go and read things. So when I just started with yeah, editorials. Again,
Mhm.
how would I equip with that if I am
Mhm.
not understanding basic things in reading?
Right.
So I
Right.
started with Harry Potter. I
Mhm.
read the series in about 15 days, and then I went to newspaper. So at least I had that skill of comprehending sentences together. And people just start reading like they have to increase speed, and you're not even understanding what
Right.
is in there in the
Right.
sentence. How will you get equipped to the speed? So first,
Because
read a lot.
yeah, because the main logic is comprehending, like you actually said. Because in case of RCs, it is not how quickly you read the RC; it's about how quickly you understand the RC and get fetch the answer for the questions. And does reading also help you in vocabulary retention? Because I have seen people making notes of the words and then mugging them up with the meaning, which I don't think is a very practical approach, which because English in the very first place is a practical subject. It's not something that you can mug. Or even if let's say that you have memorized a word today, you cannot retain it for a longer period of time. So what was your strategy for vocabulary? Because you have synonyms, antonyms coming in the RC parts also. And then of course for grammar also you need to have a little bit of an idea about the different words and their meaning. So how did you tackle the vocabulary portion?
Again, the word power made easy part.
Mm-hmm.
So that book gives you a very, very good idea of what root words are. So if you remember the root words, you are good to go for every other vocabulary things. So I used to find root words in the sentences where I was really confused. So mugging up the words was one part, and then reading. Another part was writing essays. So whatever words and idioms and phrases too, which I used to learn, I used to make a fictional story out of it. It was not making sense, but I used to make a story. Every weekend, I used to write two essays of that type. And I used to just remember learn and what vocabulary did I. And I used to make sentences and try to make a story. So that way, I was implementing it practically and just not writing it for the sake of writing. And I was also remembering it. So that was my strategy. And again, if you read a lot, you'll find those words in the sentences
Right.
that, okay, yeah, okay, this was the word which I read. What was the meaning?
Right.
This was the meaning. So that way you're revising it too. So it's all interconnected. English is
Right.
not about just marking up, it's about comprehend.
Right. And I feel in the longer run, if there's somebody who's reading a lot of non-fiction things that includes articles, that would include magazines or newspaper or something like that, I think it somewhere supports you in your PI round also, don't you think? Like because in your PI round, you're asked a lot of general questions which are coming out of nowhere because not really prepared about it. And the IIMs are actually popular for their PI round, the kind of PI rounds that they conduct. So reading a lot of non-fiction content would give you a lot of information from different fields, right? That A will help you for the RCs also because what used to happen with me when I used to appear for RC sets in school. So if there's an RC which is not from my interest, let's say it's from science or something, I would like lose 50% of my intention to solve it in the very first place because it's something that does not talk to me or something that does not is not very inviting for me. So I think it helps with the RCs also, and of course supports you in the PI round also, right?
Yes, yes, sure. So it's not just about reading. So if every day if you're reading fictional stories only, or maybe science only,
Mm-hmm.
and RC comes on history,
Mm-hmm.
obviously you'll be underconfident. Plus, you'll be disinterested. Like, what is this? What is
Yeah.
history? You'll not even remember some terms, right? So, in order to do that, to achieve that, you need to explore different genres of articles.
Mm-hmm.
So,
Mm-hmm.
read everything like history, geography,
Mm-hmm.
geopolitics, politics,
Mm-hmm.
and a lot of genres are there.
Right.
There are websites which provide a lot of articles. So everything is free. You just need to give your time.
Right, right, absolutely. And for somebody who's actually new to reading or is not really fond of reading, in that case, you must start with fiction. Take up Harry Potter because I feel Harry Potter, though I really don't believe you have not read Harry Potter, reading Harry Potter so late. I remember I read it when I was in seventh or eighth class in my school. But anyway, different people are different,
Yeah, I
right?
was a big fan of the
I
movies, so
I
I
love
never.
J.K. Rowling. Yeah. Anyway, so keeping our note sides away, back to the topic. So if you're somebody who's like really new to reading, then in that case you should begin with fiction. Start with Harry Potter. Start with something because people tend to be very attracted to graphic things, things that have a lot of pictures in it. So you might as well begin with that and then slowly shift to fiction. Don't base your entire preparation to just fictional content. That's very important, right? Now, okay, we are getting questions. We'll get to PI rounds quickly, Bhavya. Okay, so we have a question. Could you please repeat the name of the books? Says Paridhi. So I think he's already mentioned you can go ahead back in the video and check it out. Right? Okay, second is integration difference. Okay, then word power made easy by Norman Lewis. She's asking the name of the book. That's the one by Norman Lewis, right? The
Yes.
book that you mentioned. Yeah, that's the book, Bhavya. We'll come to PI part. We'll discuss about PI in a while. Okay. What is the time difference between the PI and the IPMAT exam? So she's basically trying to ask when your IPMAT result comes out, how long after that does the PI round take place? What is the difference of time?
I think it's about 25 days to 30 days. Approx. You'll get that time
Okay.
after you take IPMAT.
Right. Okay. Now let's talk about the last section, that is logical reasoning. So what I personally feel about logical reasoning from a 12 standards point of view is logical reasoning is that one subject that you might not have heard about before until unless you have officially prepared for Olympiad or something like that. So all of the topics in logical reasoning are absolutely alien to somebody who's in the 12th class, right? So whether it's coding, decoding, blood relations, sitting arrangement, XYZ, so it's something which is very different. At the same time, I feel when you start solving logical reasoning, it becomes very interesting. You tend to enjoy it a lot. So what was your take for logical reasoning? Because there is no, like I said, it's a practical subject, there's no trick to it. You need to practice as much as you can. So how did you develop an interest in logical reasoning?
See, what I believe is if you're good at maths, you're good at logical reasoning too and data interpretation.
Mm.
So just yeah, 7 to 10 days before IPMAT Rohtak, I opened my logical reasoning book and saw the topics.
Mm.
So I just practiced logical reasoning and in those 10 days only. That
Mhm.
was enough. I attempted all 40 questions of logical reasoning in IPMAT Rohtak. And I'm
Okay.
sure that 95% of them were correct. And that too, the 5% was for verbal reasoning. So I
Mhm.
did everything correct in logical reasoning.
Mhm.
And that made my selection too at IPMAT. IIM Ranchi. So logical reasoning is very easy for JIPMAT and IPMAT Rohtak too, because it is like a cakewalk for you if you're good at maths. If you're
Mhm.
not good at maths, you need to practice a bit more. But
Mhm.
it's very interesting. Like you just need to spend a little part of your brain, and yeah, you're done. So it's just writing and thinking and doing it. So
Mhm.
I used to target those questions which had a long paragraph, and people used to avoid those
Mhm.
questions. But I used to target those questions because that particular paragraph had 4 to 5 questions. So by
Mhm.
reading one uh, question and making a whole sequence of the question, I would have targeted 6 questions. So I always had that interest in those particular questions.
Right. Now that we've discussed all the three sections, we have discussed your strategy for all of these. What two things I would want to ask? Because from an exam point of view, I feel your time management is very important, like I mentioned earlier. So, did you have any special strategy in your mind about time management? Did you just go with the flow? And did you work on it during your mocks? How did you manage the time management?
Mocks are the only ways you can learn time management. So
Mm.
I used to take a lot of mocks and I used to learn like, okay, last mock. And it's not just about taking mocks, it's also
Mhm.
about analyzing those mocks. So I
Mhm.
used to see the mocks, I used to solve it, and I used
Mhm.
to analyze it for next 1.5 hours. Ki what
Mhm.
have I done? What should be my approach in the next mock? So
Mhm.
I used to build up strategies based on that and then used to implement it. After 3 4 trial and errors, I
Mhm.
got a best method. So I know I don't know whether all the people know this or not, but this was a very famous approach, ABC approach. So A
Mhm.
for abhi, B for baad mein, C for chhod do. So
Mhm.
abhi matlab, if you see the question, you think you can solve it within 1 minute, solve it. नहीं हो रहा, लग रहा है कि थोड़ा difficult है, market review, आगे बढ़ जाओ.
Mhm.
Another question, do the same thing with all the questions.
Mhm.
When you complete one round, come again to the number one question and see
Mhm.
whether you have market review or not. If it's on
Mhm.
review, that means you will be able to do it in next 2 to 3 minutes. Spend 2 to 3 more minutes. If you're
Mhm.
again unable to solve it, mark it
Mhm.
red and move forward. So
Mhm.
it's अभी मतलब अभी solve कर लिया बाद में यानी कि नेक्स्ट राउंड में जब आएंगे, उसके नेक्स्ट राउंड में आएंगे तब देखेंगे, और छोड़ दो मतलब ये तो नहीं होने वाला, इसको छोड़ दो, ये एग्जामिनर दिया ही है बच्चों को फंसाने के लिए. So you need to do all those things. So this approach worked for me.
Right, right. So I would now like to talk about mocks, the significance of mocks, because I think one of the biggest mistake that any IPMAT aspirant would do, for that matter, for any exam that somebody would do, is to appear for the mocks at the last moment, let's say a week prior to it or 2 days prior to it. I personally believe that you should start appearing for mocks way sooner. The day or the month that the week that you start preparing for the exam, you should give a mock every weekend, because you are able to basically see the trajectory of your progress over the time, right? But the logical explanation that people give about it is that, I have not completed my syllabus, what would I do in a mock, right? Second would be my I am not really ready to face the truth, to know how where I stand, because it will demotivate me, or I might not get that kick to study harder or whatever. So I will do it in the last week before the exam and so on. So please tell us what, according to you, you've already, however, discussed it in phases before, but please jot down for us the major significance of appearing for mocks for any exam for that matter.
Okay, so for the first part, if you want to take the mocks in the last week, don't take it, because that will demotivate you, because you're definitely not scoring good in the last week, and then you'll not want to go to the exam and appear for the exam.
Right.
So the first day you should take your mock is when you decide that you'll be preparing for IPMAT. You just start with taking a mock. You start, take a mock, and that way you'll remove your fear. First mock you'll get 0 or maybe 10, 20, 30, 40. I scored 40 out of 400 in my first mock. And if that day I would have decided that no, I'll not prepare for IPMAT because it's just 40 out of 400. And I took the first mock after I did my arithmetic part and algebra part. So that day I was really upset that, okay, what to do? Let's leave this and let's now go to some other college and prepare for it. But somehow someone suggested me that keep taking it, like at least give 5 to 10 mocks, then decide whether you need to prepare for it or not. So I took 5 to 10 mocks and my marks were gradually increasing day by day, because I was working on my past mistakes. I did this mistake in last mock.
Right.
I should not do this in the next mock. So
Right.
that comes with time. So the first day you take mock and the last day you take mock. It's a very huge difference.
Right.
The first mock I scored 40 out of 400 and it went to around 292 to 295 approx when I was appearing for mocks. So yeah, that difference came because I used to take a lot of mocks, and throughout my journey I took around 40 to 45 mocks. That is a big number for any student. So don't wait for the syllabus to get complete. It will never be completed. Even if I give you 2 years for IPMAT, you'll say that my syllabus is not complete. So syllabus never get complete. You just start with the mocks, and you'll be able to see where you are actually standing in the competition. And there is no such thing as safe score. Even if you're scoring 100 and the mock was really tough, see your percentile, whether you're lying in the 90 plus percentile or not. If you're lying in the 90 plus percentile, you're definitely doing great.
Right. Right. Very well said. And apart from that, also the advantage of appearing for mocks early is it gives you a better understanding of the exam pattern. Most importantly, the syllabus. You can see what are the questions that are reoccurring. Let's in the previous question papers, if you appear for them, you will see what are the topics that are appearing and concurrent, so that you know that, okay, this particular topic is important, so I need to pay attention to it, right? And then when you have the privilege of time, like Sahil said, if you're beginning 6 months prior to the exam or a year prior to the exam, you have the privilege of time. So you can take your own pace. You can basically decide the topics you want to prepare in depth by appearing for mocks, seeing what are the topics that are reoccurring in the exam every year. Apart from that, of course, it helps you in the time management part. You're able to see how well are you doing for a particular topic, how much time are you taking to qualify, or sorry, to solve one particular question, and which topics are taking longer period of time. So yes, mocks are very important, guys, and I think It's almost April end. In May 2028 and then 16th you have your exam. So you should be appearing for mocks at least from now on. I hope you are giving at least 1 to 2 mocks every weekend. If not, then start doing it now, and don't just give mocks, analyze mocks, check them, check what are the recurring mistakes that you are doing, what are the areas of improvement that you need to work on. So, Sahil, that brings me to my next question. Let's say right now, for the people who will be appearing for the IPMAT 23 this year, so like I mentioned in the beginning of the session, so the dates are 20th May, 28th May, and 16th of June for these exams, IPMAT, JIPMAT, and IPMAT Rohtak. So, should the students study any new topic now, or should they just revise the previous ones?
Okay, so it depends how much have you covered. So
Mhm.
if you have covered more than 60% or 70% of your syllabus, I'd suggest not to move to another topic and do revise the previous one.
Mhm.
But if you haven't done, if you're at 30%, you cannot afford to do those 30% 10 times, because maybe those 30% are not relevant and
Mhm.
they will not ask much questions on that. So at least try to reach to 60 to 70%. And then if you're there, don't do it the rest of the chapters. Come back to the first chapter and revise, give it a good revision, a practice, and give marks on those chapters rather than doing new chapters, because that breaks your flow. And if you this is the time where you need to have a good grab over all the chapters which you have studied. I
Mhm.
always used to suggest people to do 100% of the syllabus, because you never know that how much like maybe if you haven't studied number system, there is a very simple question on number system you'll not be able to do because you haven't studied. But the students who just did it like the concepts only, they'll be able to solve it. So don't emphasize too much on completing syllabus, but don't put much onto revision to like if you're at 50% trying, with this 50% I'll be able to crack arguments. Not like that. Try to
Mhm.
come to at least 60 to 70% of the syllabus and then go for revision.
All right, let's look at the questions now. We have a question from Parithi. She asks, what was the standard time per day to study?
That's a tough one. In last month, I would say I studied like anything. Like I used to give approx 12 to 14 hours a day in last month, not before that. Not
Mhm.
before that, I was studying it. So
Mhm.
in last month, I gave 12 to 14 hours daily, and that, yeah, that helped me.
So I think the number of hours that you study would again vary from person to person, the kind of time you have for preparation. So if you're somebody who, let's say, has started preparing for IPMAT 24 from now on, so even if you study 1 hour or 2 hour every day, you'll be able to do really well. But let's say that you've started preparing for IPMAT 23 right now, so I think you should study more, much more,
Much
multiply
more.
multiple times. So it depends. It depends on you. It depends on your strategy. It would vary from person to person. But I feel consistency is a key to any entrance test. It should not be like कि पहले दिन में जोश में 5 घंटे पढ़ लिया, the other day you're not studying at all, and then it should not be fluctuating. It should be very constant. Fix up a timetable that you are at least devoting 2 to 3 hours in this situation if you've been preparing for the past couple of months, and don't stress yourself a lot at this point of time. Figure out, work on your strengths and weaknesses, and then go ahead with the strategy accordingly. Now I would want to talk about the second important part about the IPMAT exam, the JIPMAT exam, is the PI round. Right. So this I mention always whenever I have a guest on board for the IPMAT exam. I always emphasize on this, that a person who has just passed their 12th class, these kind of interviews are basically their first interviews of their lives, right? And that too in front of such an esteemed panel. So, how did you prepare for the personal interview round?
I did prepare for personal interview round, but my IIM Indore interview was like horrible. It went horrible. So it was my drop year, and I barely gave time to study physics, chemistry. Maths was in my touch, so yeah, I did answer questions for maths in IPMAT Indore's uh, interview round. But okay, so first thing they did was wish. They didn't ask for my name, no introduction. We just started with one question of physics on fluid mechanics. It was like, what? Okay. So I just gave it some time, but I didn't remember. They again asked me question on physics. Again on physics, I was unable to answer any of them. Then they asked me ki, which topic should we ask you questions from which particular topic from physics. So I was okay. Ask me question on modern physics because that was something which I studied during my boards. So they asked me question on modern physics, and they used the terms which I have never heard in my life. And I just forgot the words just after the interview. So I was unable to check also in my books ki what was the word. So I was again like, I don't know. So that point of time, I was sure ki, no, I'm not getting into IPMAT. I am in that. But then just grilled me on maths. I was able to answer all the maths questions. Some questions on GK. There was one question ki, where do you live? So I said in Patna. So they said if you board a train from Patna to Indore, what major states will you cross? So I was good with geography, so I answered all the states. So these were some basic questions and nothing much. And if you talk about Rohtak, it was a blend of academics plus extracurriculars plus GK. So I was able to do extracurriculars because I had a very good profile. I was able to do academics too. And for the GK part also, I did prepare from YouTube a lot of current affairs and static GK too. So everything went well. So I got into IIM Rohtak too. For IPMAT Ranchi also, they focused much on extracurriculars and academics was not asked. So they focused much on what you did and what were your interests, grilling me on geopolitics because geopolitics was my interest. They asked me to sing and 2-3 questions on stock markets and on these things. So, yeah, it was just based on my interest.
Okay, so now I have a question. So you made it to IIM Ranchi, and to IIM Ranchi you get admission through IPMAT Indore, correct? So does IIM Ranchi conduct their own separate PI round, or is it on the basis of your interview with Indore? How does it happen?
No, it's different. It's different for every IIM. The interviews are different for IIM Indore, Ranchi, and Rohtak. These 3 IIMs take interview round. JIPMAT, Jammu and Bodh, they don't care for the interview part. So these 3 are different interviews, and the nature of the interviews are also different. And this year, I think Ranchi is conducting offline interviews, so people would get a real taste of interview.
So yours was online.
Yeah, mine.
You appeared for these interviews in the Corona. You appeared for them in the year 21, no?
Yes.
So I feel this year, I think it will be offline for everyone. I don't think it's going to be online.
No, I think Rohtak and Indore are going for online. They have mentioned in the web portal, but Ranchi has specifically mentioned, and I've asked some professors too. So yeah, the plan is there to go offline.
Right. Okay, because the corona is rising again, and the usual story of every summer, every year. Okay, got it. Right. Interesting. Okay, so now that you've appeared for all the 3 exams, Sahil, which exam was difficult? Indore, Rohtak, or JIPMAT? Which exam was comparatively difficult?
Indore was difficult. I would not say very difficult. The verbal part of 21 was really easy. So I was fortunate. It was fortunate that it was easy because if it would have been tough, I would have went clear the section cutoffs. So being a general, you need to first focus on getting at least the sectional cutoff.
Being a male, because they have gender vote also. No?
Gender vote also. So yeah, it was tough for me, and that is why I think MCQ part was difficult because every year before that there were 5 questions on data interpretation. So everyone did data interpretation, but 21, it was the first time when IIM Indore asked 5 questions of logical reasoning. Those were from games and tournaments. So everyone was like, "Ki, ye to difficult ho gaya." And the cutoff was also quite low. But I was able to solve the logical reasoning questions because, again, it's on your logic. If you are scared, ki, अरे ये तो हम पढ़े ही नहीं है, then you will not be able to
Right.
score. You just have to apply logic, and I was able to solve all this. My short answers section went horrible. I think I barely just uh, I just barely solved two questions or three, no, 2 to 3 questions, which I was confident that, yeah, these 3 questions are correct. Apart from that, all the 6 questions were like, I was not confident, but still I cleared my
But
section.
because in essay you don't have any negative marking, no? For short answers, you don't have any negative
Yeah, there is no
marking.
negative marking. So one tip, if you don't know anything, just put 0, 0, 0, 0 in every column. So maybe there is 1 0 answer.
Right, right. Okay, Sahil, we're almost towards the end of the session. So now you are at IIM Ranchi. I believe you're in a second year, right? So how is life now? And I heard that you're preparing for CAT. So what are your future plans?
Life is chill. Like when once you get into an IIM, you have a lot of pressure of academics, but at the same time you enjoy those pressure. So there will be a very swift change from your 12th to your college life if you are studying into an IIM. So there 12th you need to do it because you need to pass. Now here your parents are not that much bothered about your marks because they know that you are at a safe place. So you need to just be conscious enough to get good marks, to get good grades, decent grades at least. So life is chill here, and especially at Ranchi. So if you see the course curriculum of Jammu, Bodh Gaya, Indore, and Rohtak, you see that there are 10 to 11 courses a term. So you need to give a lot more time. If you compare it to Ranchi, we have only 5 courses a term for first 2 years, and then 6 courses a term in last year. So for the first 2 years, the chairperson have designed it deliberately for students to explore a lot of things. And that is happening. A lot of people in our batch are right now earning in lakhs and crores. So they have explored so much that they don't need to sit for the placements also. They are right now self-employed. So that is the current plan of for IIM Ranchi especially. If you want to pursue something else, if you want to excel something else by developing a perspective of business management, this is the place for you. For my future plans, I have a startup, an edtech startup only. So I have plans to increase that. Like I have plans to get a good business for that startup. Apart from that, preparing for CAT, obviously everyone is doing it, but getting good, better college than IIM Ranchi is also difficult. So basically, if I convert into Black Keys, I'll switch. But yeah, those are my future plans.
Because I feel for startup, your MBA needs to be done from a very good institute because it gives you that kind of an exposure, right? So that's quite vital there, right? So all the best, Sahil. I hope your startup does really well, right? And I hope that you do really well in your life. Any parting words for our audience, the people who are going to appear for the exam this year, maybe the next year? Any last words?
Yeah, so for this year students, don't think much, okay? This is the last run. So if you give your best, just close your eyes and run, okay? Whatever your mentors, whatever your teachers are saying, follow that because trust them, because trust your materials, trust your mentors, trust your teachers, because those people know how things work. So it's good to experiment, but in the last run, you need to trust something. So just go on with that. Don't switch a lot. Don't just spend too much time on Telegram groups and Instagram and all. Because trust me, the students who cleared IPMAT, Ranchi, Rohtak, Indore, JIPMAT, they don't spend much time on Telegram. Okay. Generally, students are there who just are loafing around. Okay. So don't spend much time there because you'll see people demotivating you so that they can be above you. So, yeah. And also be consistent. This is a time where you need to be consistent and eat a lot of good food so that your motivation is up, and watch a lot of videos of campus tour, life at IIM. So extrinsic, intrinsic, both motivation are done. So yeah, you'll be good to go. And don't worry.
And if you make it to IIM Ranchi, meet Sahil.
Yeah, sure. I'll be a senior though. So I'll be more excited to meet you all.
All right. Thank you so much, Sahil, for your precious time. Thank you so much for your enlightening words. And I hope that the audiences are going to take full advantage of it. Right. Thank you so much. And all you people there, I hope you enjoyed the session. If you liked the video, please press the like button, subscribe to our channel. And if there are any questions that are left, please post them in the comment section and we'll get back to you. Till then, stay tuned for the next session for Big Bull Ki Pathshala, where I will have yet another interesting guest for all of you. Thank you so much. Good night. Happy weekend. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.
Bye. It was a nice